I rise to strongly support an amendment on the floor that I have co-authored. I've joined Senator Thune, Senator Bennett, and many others on this amendment to immediately end the TARP program, the so-called Troubled Asset Relief Program, to end that, to wind it down immediately once and for all. Again, the amendment's very simple and straightforward. It terminates TARP immediately when this provision is signed into law. And just as importantly, the amendment ensures that all TARP money that is repaid to the federal government goes to debt reduction as clearly intended under the law, under the original language for the TARP program. Madam President, I've long fought for this termination. First of all, I had grave reservations about TARP from the beginning, and I voted against that proposal. And looking back, I don't think it's at all clear that that was necessary to avert some impending disaster. Looking at the last year, I think it's perfectly clear that TARP has become a slush fund and has led to all sorts of continuing spending abuses. We need to get back to the President's original promise to treat the American taxpayer like the investors that they are, to honor their funds, to protect their funds, and to get all of that money returned to the American taxpayer. I find it pretty ironic that in the last few weeks the President has bashed big banks and proposed a big new tax against big financial institutions. Yet at the same time, he wants to continue TARP, and he wants to continue the ability to give those same big financial institutions taxpayer dollars virtually without limit. Why don't we start, Mr. President, members of the Senate, why don't we start on the path to fiscal responsibility by at least not showering those big financial institutions with more taxpayer dollars? We're out of the crisis. We don't need TARP. Let's end it immediately, wind it down. So again, Madam President, I urge all of my colleagues, Democrats, Republicans, to honor the President's initial words back in the fall of 2008 about what TARP was supposed to be about and how all of the money should be repaid to the taxpayer. Let's honor those words. Let's honor the initial promises about TARP. And let's end it immediately since the crisis is past and ensure that all the money, as it's repaid over time, goes back to the American taxpayer by reducing debt. Let's stop this continuing threat that TARP is just used as a political slush fund to fund spending, programs, and ideas at the whim of the majority of Congress as it develops week to week. And let's return that money to the American taxpayer. Let's reduce the debt. Let's reduce the deficit.